Hello and welcome back to the trash. And today, we gotta talk about our next episode of Tough as Nails. Episode 8 of Season 2 of Tough as Nails. So let's get into it. Dirty Hands. They were ahead in the team competition. Let's just talk about the team competition first. Because they could have won it all in this episode. But instead, Savage Crew tied it up. The score is now 4-4. Let me give you a summary of this team challenge here. Teams had to bring a dead car back to life by collecting various different parts from a sea of cars in the junkyard. They were given a work order that told them what they needed to fix their dead car. Okay? And Savage Crew got it done, the legends they are. They got it done. They're such the underdogs right now. I'm actually rooting for them over Dirty Hands, even though I do think Dirty Hands might actually take it in the end. It's just a shame that the guy who formed Savage Crew is no longer on Savage Crew. Also, Freight Train's still in quarantine. I guess he'll be back next episode, so that'll be fun to see. If he's back next episode. I hope he is. And today just wasn't Dirty Hands' day. I mean, they already have the fact that Freight Train is out, and he's the car guy, you know? He's always going to be the guy who's in charge of all the vehicular challenges. And he's also just great for team morale. But Dirty Hands, they were on such a roll in the last episode, even though their team morale was pretty low. And now they're just done mentally. Meryl was the one who sat out for Savage Crew, by the way, this time. Goes to show how unusual this season has been. We have to have people sit out of the challenge. I hate the disqualifications. Anywho, so Scott was the team leader for Savage Crew, and Zeus is the team leader for Dirty Hands. And Zeus, while he's usually a pretty good team leader, this time he just wasn't it. Wasn't his day. You know, he wasn't his day. Go back to the individual portion. That's clearly what you're best at, Zeus. It just wasn't the time for them to pick Zeus as their leader. I do think Knuckles probably would have worked better, and Angel probably would have worked a lot better than Zeus. Zeus really just couldn't communicate with anyone on the team. Selly, Liz, Angel, they were all just kind of... It's crazy that that's the entire team. I'm sorry, I keep harping on this point, but it's crazy that the team's down to 4 people. But no, Selly, Liz, and Angel. None of them were on task. None of them really connected communication-wise with each other. And I think that's where Dirty Hands' downfall came from. I don't think that it was necessarily all Zeus's fault. It was mostly Zeus's fault. But I do think the fact that they chose him as the team leader... Obviously, if Freight Train was still here, they would have chosen Freight Train as the team leader. And I do think they would have done a lot better had Freight Train actually been in the competition. Because he was robbed. Anywho, and they even tried to give Savage Crew this little, oh, they're struggling too, but they weren't. It was a thing where Scott was having trouble getting a door off, but they got it off very quickly. Like, come on. Come on, editing team. You really think we don't know Savage Crew is getting the win here? But hopefully Freight Train comes back for the next episode so Dirty Hands can have a chance. Because clearly a group of just Zeus, Liz, Angel, and Arida, without Freight Train to be the glue holding them together, I don't know. I don't think it's a very good sign. I might actually change my pick to Savage Crew if Freight Train doesn't come back for the next episode. So I guess we'll have to wait till next week to find out the overall winner of the team competition. And I'm actually kind of intrigued as to who it might be, because they both have their flaws, they both have their weaknesses, but they also both have strengths. They both have people who know how to get a job done. So I think that's a very interesting thing to explore with the next episode. Okay, so the individual challenge was kind of weird this episode. I gotta admit, this individual challenge was not the type of individual challenge I was expecting. They had to get an oil drip pan and collect oil from some of the cars in the junkyard that they were just doing the team challenge in. They had to use the oil drip pan to fill up containers with the oil until they had 15 quarts worth. Now, Liz, once again, this wasn't her day. Honestly, I don't know where Liz's head was at during this entire episode. I mean, she's usually great at both the team portion and the individual portion. But in this episode, I don't know where her head was at. Because, I mean, granted, it's more so Zeus's fault that Dirty Hands lost the team competition, but she was still kind of at fault too. And here in the individual portion, she's just not, her head's not in it. I mean, I'm sure she wanted to win. I'm sure she was trying her best, but I don't know. I think it's either the competition is so tough that she's not doing well just because everyone left is better, which that's probably it. Either that or just her head wasn't in the right space. Maybe it's a little bit of guilt holding over from the team competition. That could be it too. Same thing with Arida. She didn't do that well either in this individual challenge. I do think it was a good tactic how Liz took the oil from other people's cars. That was probably one of the smartest strategic moves she made in this episode. Now, something that's very surprising. Sarah is actually the one who took first place in this individual challenge. Sarah. I am shocked, honestly. I wasn't that confident in Sarah. Honestly, I didn't think she had it in her to win I'm leaving that take in, screw it. An individual challenge. But she pulled it out. She got that win. And that's kind of surprising to see. I've already said that. But I don't know. She's really in the home stretch right now, and I think she's giving it all she has towards the end. She was sort of reserving more of her energy towards the beginning, I guess. I don't know. But, man, Sarah is actually killing it now. And, yeah, the rest is how you would expect. Scott second, Zeus third, Swifty fourth, you know. I feel like Swifty, he's the middle of this season, if that makes sense. I think kind of like someone like Callie last season. She always just stayed towards the middle of the pack, or a better example would probably be Miles, where they're not the best, but they're not the worst. And they just sort of stay in that middle position until there's really no other option than to be good or get eliminated. So Swifty, he's not really in competition with those top guys. He's not in competition with Scott, Zeus, and now Sarah, I guess. And he's kind of getting the Miles treatment, the Miles from season 1, where he was always staying towards the middle of the pack. Yeah, he went into overtime pretty early on, but he made it to the finals. And then once the finals hit, he was against Danny and Murph, two incredible players that, by comparison, he just looked bad. And he really just didn't do that well in the finals. So I'm hoping Swifty can maybe pull it out, but I did lose a little bit of confidence in Swifty this episode. I'm sorry. Liz and Arida went in overtime. As you would expect, neither of them really had their heads in the game, but they had to get their heads in the game. So in overtime, they had to remove 3 parts from an engine: the flywheel, the exhaust manifold, and the oil pan. First one to get it all done wins overtime, stays in the game, and the loser punches out in 6th place. Now, Arida had a rough start here. I think towards the end of the overtime challenge, that's when she really got her head in the game. That's when she really kicked it into high gear. No, Arida won the overtime challenge in a very home stretch way. And yeah, it was pretty suspenseful. I think that Arida was sort of in the bad spot for most of it. Liz was kind of like slowly inching along, but Arida just pumped them all out at once. Even Phil had his little moment of saying, Arida's talking to her engine. Engine's not responding because it's an engine. And that just added some humor to the overtime, which that's the first time I've heard Phil crack a joke all season. Maybe he has before, and I just forgot. But, I mean, we haven't had much humor from Phil this season. We had a lot of Phil humor last season, and I'm frankly disappointed that we didn't get as much this season. So yeah, that was the end of Knuckles. And Knuckles punched out, and what a journey for Knuckles. She won the first competition and got to pick Dirty Hands. And I think now that both Knuckles and Angel are out of the individual competition and can just focus on the team competition, I think Dirty Hands has a solid chance. And even, especially if Freight Train comes back, man. If Freight Train comes back with his mind solely on the team portion, Dirty Hands is going to do some magical things. I think Dirty Hands is going to take home that win. $60,000. And now we get in my updated rankings, and these always hurt this late in the game. to update my rankings and, put someone at the bottom who I think is a really good player. And that's sort of the case here. Number 5, I have Swifty. Swifty's a really good player. That's why he's still in the game. But I just don't think he has it in him to win. That's really all I have to say about that. Now at number 4, I have someone I never thought would be anywhere near number 4, but that is Sarah Burkett. And she won the overtime challenge, she won the individual challenge, and that's why I bumped her up to number 4. I had her at number 12 before the season started. Now she's at number 4. I'm still not sure she'll win. I don't think she'll win. And number 3, we have Zeus. Yeah, same reasoning as last time. Same thing with Arida. I think Arida definitely has a lot more screen time than she had in the earlier episodes. So I think Arida is definitely a top contender to watch out for, but I'm not sure she'll win, mainly because Scott's been so consistent in his screen time and his overall performance that I do think he'll pull out that win at the end and be the Ultimate Tough as Nails champion. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I will cover the next week's episode. I think it's just going to be the team portion, so that'll be interesting on how I cover that. The rankings will obviously stay the same if no one punches out, so. With that being said, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.